Hello my lovely Facebookers, how are you all today? It's Monday, which means it's Motivation Monday time, and I'm really excited to be chatting about this topic. I'm not sure why. I think it's because, to be honest with you, it is the biggest bugbear or the biggest confusion or the biggest annoyance to me that it's so confusing and it needs to be clarified. But also, when I hear people use these words just interchangeably, it kind of makes me want to go, okay, we need some clarification. So as people come on board, do say hello. I'd love to know where you're coming from. I can see you're joining us. Oh, there's Leon. Who else do we have? There's Kristen's on. Hello. So I want to clarify this. There's Brona on too. I want to clarify this because it is, and especially as a fitness professional and as a health professional, it is so frustrating when people kind of use these words interchangeably. And also, I think it's just good to be educated on how all these things work. Hello, Shaz. Shaz is on board too. So for those of you who are joining me for the first time or are watching the replay, thank you so very much. My name is Lisa Barwise. I consider myself a wellness alchemist. That means I'm the kick-ass catalyst in the transformation of women around the world, strong of mind, body and character. And I am the creator of Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training and the author of the Warrior Goddess Body book. It's 3, 5, 10, 28 day and Wheel of the Year programs. I've got 3 now programs that I've created. So today I want to talk to you about the difference between toning and weight loss and shredding and bulking and body shape change and fat loss. Okay? Hi, Kristen. So these are things that people just use interchangeably in conversations. Oh, I want to get toned. Oh, I want to get shredded. Oh, I want to lose weight. But they are not the same things, okay? They are not the same things. They are, hello, Diane. They are completely different, and you need to understand how they all fall and also what your goals are in relation to this. So shall we get into it? Let's get into it. So the first one is about toning, okay? There's Emma on. Hello, Emma. It's about toning. So toning, okay, so and normally actually I'm not wearing a jacket to actually demonstrate this one. So will I take my jacket off? Yes, I will. So I want to talk to you about toning specifically because it's the one that gets used all the time that specifically drives me crazy. So we're going to use my arm as an example, okay? So if you think about toning, toning is basically a composition change of what goes on underneath your skin. So if you think about my arm, in my arm I have bone, and then over the bone I have ligaments and tendons. I have then muscle that also is in there, and then I have a layer of fat, then I have the layer of skin. Okay, so what toning is that you have a greater, I should really be doing it on my better arm, shouldn't I? Oh, I'm not very pumped today. It's the difference between having more fat to muscle composition versus more muscle to fat. So when you have a greater muscle to fat ratio underneath your skin and you have less fat as a layer on top, then you will look toned. Does that make sense? So it's not that the skin itself becomes different, and that's why some people still have loose skin after they lose weight, but what it actually is that the skin becomes stretched over the muscle because there's no juicy fat underneath it to make it look kind of wobbly or, you know, crepey, etc. Okay, so that's what toned is. So in order to be toned, you have to work on building the lean muscle. You can't just work on the reduction of fat, because what happens then is if you just work on the reduction of the fat, you end up being skinny. Okay, so skinny is also another term that we end up thinking about. Now, a lot of us tend to want to move away from skinny and we want to move into more curvy. We want to look lean. We want to look feminine, but we want to have less bumps, etc. Okay, so now we're moving into this thing called weight loss. So what is weight loss? So if you think about the scientific definition of weight loss, it is basically, in physics terms, the reduction of mass. So you're this size mass. Hello, Kellyanne love. You're this size mass, right, which is like a square. And weight loss is just making your square from this size to this size. So it's going from a bigger square to a little square. So it's a reduction of mass, how much you weigh on a scale. Now, the problem with weight loss, and this is the thing that we all know to be true, is that when you reduce weight, you have no control over where it comes off, okay? The only way that that is determined is based on your genes, based on your existing body shape, whether you're maybe an apple or a pear or more athletic. It also is, genetics in terms of, hi Carol, in terms of, what your mum and dad's body shapes were like. And that is about it. If you're adding in some exercise, you have a little bit more control, but generally it's just my mass is this size and I want to make my mass smaller, okay? So the problem also with weight loss is, in order to get to weight loss, the only way that you can achieve it is a sustained calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit basically means that you are using more calories than you're burning. You're using more calories than you're consuming to reduce that amount of weight. So it's the calories in, calories out equation, okay? So as if I keep reducing my calories, the problem with this is twofold. One, it's just not sustainable, ladies. You know what? We like to think that dieting is a good idea. We like to think that we can go on forever and I can just consume 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories. But in my experience, and I'm talking 15 years of nutrition and weight loss experience, what tends to happen is we start off really well going, I'm not going to eat anything. I'm not going to eat anything at all. And then we're like starving, okay? But then we're good with hunger. So I can deal with hunger. Hunger is okay with me. And we blast things at the gym, or we go for runs and we only eat lettuce and we only eat carrots, and then it just gets to the end of the day, or something breaks emotionally. Somebody says something to us, or the kids are driving us mad, and we break, and before you know it, we've stumbled upon a pizza or a takeaway and it's all in our mouths, and we're like, crap, what just happened? So with continual calorie deficit, you will find three things happen. One, you fall off all the time. You can't help it. It's an emotional roller coaster. When I see my fitness model client friends and people preparing for a drastic amount of cutting and shredding, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, their ability to control their appetite and their hunger is a skill, but it's only ever done over a short period of time. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. So if you are on a continual diet, like raise your hands, who feels like they're on a continual diet? You will always feel deprived. When we feel emotionally deprived, females, what do, ladies? We start to feel really bad. We go in a downward spiral, and before you know it, boom, drank half a bottle of wine, eating a whole pizza or a Chinese takeaway, and we didn't even notice how that happened. So generally when it comes to weight loss and constant dieting, we just aren't able to sustain it. It is fine in the short term. 10 days, which I'm talking about 10-day shreds, are really good for like a short, sharp burst of weight loss where you can lose like 5 pounds or maybe 7 pounds over a 10-day period, but it's not sustainable and it shouldn't be. The other downsides of calorie deficits, not just that it leads to binging, also it's really hard for you to track your food content. Most of us tend to lie or underestimate what calories things are, and that's why we get stuck and that's why we plateau. But the other thing is, eventually there's only so far down you can go with your calorie deficit, ladies. You cannot, I had clients who said to me, I was just consuming like 900 calories a day, and I'm like looking at them going, how are you not dead? Now, there's no such thing as starvation, and I know there's a lot of myths out there that your body will go into starvation, but what it actually does is it just slows down your metabolism, and we don't want that, ladies. As we get older, we need to look after our metabolism. Our metabolism is the thing that's not only going to keep us lean, but it's going to keep us healthy. It means that we're not going to have bad thyroid issues, underactive or underactive or overactive thyroid is because of our messing up with our metabolism. So we don't want to stall our metabolism. We don't want to reduce our appetite for long periods of time. It's good for maybe 10 days or maybe 6 weeks or a short burst of weight loss, but ultimately there is a better way. So let's talk about this thing called cutting or shredding, okay? So cutting or shredding is just fat loss, but it's a short, sharp burst of that. So where this comes from is from the fitness industry. So fitness models, physique athletes who are showcasing their muscle growth, which is what bodybuilding is basically, I am looking to add muscle, lean muscle and muscle mass, but in order to showcase that muscle, I need to reduce the fat so that you can see the muscle, okay? Because again, remember my arm, we have bone, we have ligaments, we have the muscle, we have the layer of fat, then we have the skin. So for bodybuilders and physique athletes to show off that wonderful muscle that they've created, they shred or they cut, and they cut in so that the muscle can be exposed. So that's where you start to see, you know, striations on shoulders, you start to see the definition of the abs, etc. This only happens for a 2-week, possibly a 2-week period, okay? You will find that physique athletes are only fully cut for the show that they do, which is once a year, maybe twice. They'll maybe stay that way for a couple of weeks, get loads of photos, all those lovely things. And then for the remaining part of the year, they're either spent the time bulking, which is adding more lean muscle, or they're trying to just maintain a nice lean physique, okay? So it takes you to go down to 10 to 12% body fat to see abs, to see that amount of leanness, to see the muscle striations, etc. And that's the cutting or the shredding. And they're only like that for 2 weeks. The rest of the time they hit around 18 to 20%, which is pretty much attainable by most of us. So trying to get to that shredded cut phase only is going to happen once a year. Okay, does that make sense? And it normally takes, on average, for a physique athlete, 12 weeks to go from, yes, 12 weeks, sometimes even 14, to go from, say, about a 22% to down to 12%. So between 20, 22%, down to 12% body fat, sometimes more, to be honest with you, because some of them might put on fat as they're adding the muscle mass at the same time. Does that make sense? Okay, so just so you can understand and manage your expectations. So then we get into my favorite, which is body shape change. So the average female who comes to me, not that anybody's average, you're all unique little snowflakes, but the average female who comes to me are just looking to get leaner. They're looking to lose a bit of weight for weight loss to come off, but also they're mostly looking just to change their body shape. So what that means is they're looking to narrow the waist, but to keep some curves in the curvy area. They're wanting to say bye-bye to bingo wings, whittle the waist, de-wobble some thighs, etc. And this is what I advocate, because this is, one, very sustainable, two, what we actually really want and can achieve, and three, is something that can be maintained throughout the whole of the year. But it is a 2-part process, okay? It is 2 parts in so much as building lean muscle becomes very important, because again, we don't want to reduce fat and just leave ourselves skinny. We want to expose some lovely, juicy, curvy muscle under there. Building lean muscle is essential for you to boost your metabolism and keep your metabolism at that correct rate, if that makes sense. It also will help you with the fat loss process later on, but then you also want to work on the fat loss. So how we do body shape change here at Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training and with my Warrior Goddess body programs is through 2-part process. We use the nutritional program of carb cycling with some intermittent fasting, because that works really well for females. So we basically match our nutrition intake to the exercise we do. We also advocate strength training and interval training. Strength training with kettlebells is going to help you to boost your rear and help to add curves in all the right areas, your legs and your bum. It also is going to whittle your waist, which is because a lot of the core moves that we do. And then also we add the HIIT or the higher intensity, both body weight training also with our yoga shred classes to help you to keep the fat from whittling, okay? Now this is something that you can also do from home. All of my programs are online as well, and that's what I love about it is kettlebells are great for use from home. You can swing away, you can start to work on that 2-part process, and also you just need to, hello Joanne, you just need to match what you're eating to the exercise that you do. So if you're not doing exercise that day, then you can cut back on some calories or you can cut back on some carbohydrates. We'll talk about that. If you are doing exercise, specifically leg workouts, it's really good to add the carbohydrates and more high protein so that you can start to build that lovely lean muscle. And the last one is fat loss. We all want fat loss, and with body shape change also comes fat loss. You're building lean muscle, so you're adding junk to the trunk, curves and de-wobbling things, adding that toned element, but you're also stripping the fat. But with fat loss, it needs to be 2-part process. It needs to be exercise, and it needs to also be fat related reducing movements and exercise. What we do for fat loss specifically is strength training, heavy strength training and heavy lifting, very important. And when I mean heavy, for us females, we can get there with, you know, using kettlebells, 16 kilos type of thing, working up to that sort of a weight, easily done. Literally in about 6 weeks, you could get to that sort of a weight. But also interval training and rest, ladies, very, very important. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you started to see the bigger picture of all of this, because I know that we only see the highlights and the show reels. We see what's on Instagram, we see what's here, there and everywhere. And what's really interesting is that nobody's ever sat down and explained it to us, right? So unless you're in the fitness industry or in the health industry, oh, okay. So, Joanne, I'll come back to your little message too. But it's not about cutting back. I mean, that's the other thing. This is the thing. That's the diet mentality. What I'm saying is, I had a client who went to Rome for a week. I'll give you an example. I had a client who was with me for she was with me about 9 months previous to that. She had worked on body shape change. She'd followed the carb cycling formula. She went to Italy for 1 week, and I told her, do not even look at what you're eating. Just enjoy yourself. You're on holiday. Really enjoy yourself. She had the wine, she had the pizza, she had the pasta. She came back and she'd lost 2 pounds. Now, it's not saying about weight loss that's important, but she liked to measure herself regularly. That was her measurement for her. As she was older, she was worried about water retention, etc. But what I found with her is that the reason why she was able to do that was because she built a lot of lean muscle. And also, when your body has time to do adequate rest, as well. I mean, I took a week off there over July, and I lost a couple of pounds, even though I wasn't doing any exercise or watching what I was eating, because my body was still doing all of the work and the rest. I had a really strong resting metabolic rate as well. So that is the holy grail, ladies. When you get to that point, when you understand that it's about body shape change. Now, let me just give you some indications here as well. I think it's really important to finish with this. When it comes to time expectations. So I just shared in our tribe group for our Warrior Kettlebell Goddesses a goal setting worksheet. And in it, I give some indication of how long things were going to take. So when people come to me and they say they want to build more of a round booty, they want to, add more lean muscle mass, they don't realize that it's going to take 9 months. Okay, it's going to take 6 months. It's going to take a good amount of time to add lean muscle. Now, it depends on where you're starting from, and it also depends on your body shape change before you get there, okay? So it's going to depend on that, your body type. If you are, for example, my own example is that I'm very much a very lean apple. So I have very lean legs and arms. If I'm going to hold weight anywhere, it's in the middle, the hardest part to get rid of, in my opinion. But it's also hard for me to put on muscle mass. It took, a good 7 to 9 months of lifting really heavy weights and constantly pushing and eating what I needed to eat to build my bum, basically. So it's not about, I'm just going to go to the gym once a week, or maybe going to lift this week with a dumbbell. It's really important that there is a strategy behind it. But the most important thing is that whatever you're doing, you're going to have fun doing it anyway. So, you might as well choose something. Turn off my phone, but people are calling me. It's going to get you where you want to go, but that you have to have fun while you're doing the process and understand the process. I think a lot of us tried, and I did a video on this last week, a lot of us tend to stay a little bit dumb when it comes to weight loss or body shape change, because if we stay in the dark, it's easier for us not to make those changes that we kind of know that we need to make. Whereas what I say is empower yourself with the information. You don't always have to choose to follow that information, but if you're empowered and you know what you need to do, then when it's time for you to do the thing that you want to do, you're ahead of the curve. You know what you need to do. You may start making those steps. So, for example, there's certain times of the year where I'm not even bothered with what I'm eating. I don't bother counting calories. I don't track my macros. I don't even follow any sort of plan. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, I want to shred a little bit. I want to reduce my little bit of weight here. What am I going to do? Most of the time I can stay pretty steady, and I have maintained the same body shape for the last at least the last 6 months to 9 months with not really doing a lot of heavy lifting. But I know that if I want to get back where I need to go, I have the information. I know it. And you might say, well, that's easy for you. You're a fitness professional. But I had to start studying somewhere too. And all of the studies that I've done, you can have that information too distilled to you. So if you want to find out a little bit more about how this body shape change part works, if you want to find out how all this information gathers together, I have something free for you. As always, I'm always here to give you more tips. I'm going to drop a link below for my new and revised 4-step formula for body shape change, specifically in your late 30s, 40s and 50s. It's a free resource. You just have to give us your email. You will find out in there how it works in terms of what body shape change is. You'll find out the formula. Plus I give you away my 3 things to do right now to lose 5 pounds in 10 days as well. So lots of information that you can act on right now, right away, that will work for you. So I'll drop that email in and I look forward to connecting with you all soon. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, enjoy your Monday, and I'll be back next Monday and I'll speak to you then.